To me, it's never been more clear that if you are not a modern mortgage advisor, your future is not going to be better. But if you are modern in how you approach your business, your future, I believe, can be brighter than ever. I mean, let's face it. When I started the business, used to have to do a handwritten loan application. And now you give a link to a consumer and the consumer's your assistant. They fill out the app. And now we have AI. So we literally have more tools to make the job of being a mortgage advisor easier. We have tools that where you can do more loans than ever. Think of the life wheel, where it's got all the areas of your business. This modern mortgage wheel, that's leadership, technology, marketing. I'm pretty excited about that community and being a guide in that community.
Hey guys, Wally Olivieri. All right, so what is 24/7 mindset? Most times when you hear 24/7, you're thinking what? 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, just grinding, hustling. I learned over time, a 24-year career in mortgage and multiple other businesses that I own is, unfortunately, you'll get burnt out. I became an absent father, I became an absent husband, and I became a poor business leader because I was trying to work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, trying to build a business, maintain a business. When I learned how to work smarter, not just harder, by doing things the best way it could be done, instead of just simply doing my best, I learned how to work only 24 hours a week, 7 months a year, while I got paid from the business residually 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You can do the same. Welcome to the show. All right. Super duper excited. We are officially live with the man, the myth, the legend, the Dave Savage. Dave, thank you so much for not only being an awesome friend, but thank you much for co-hosting this 24/7 Mindset show together.
It's good to be here, Wally. Always love to be in conversations with you.
Yeah, I think it's very special, our friendship and your mentorship to me over the years, that it's been a great, you've cared so much about investing in all us loan officers, especially with launching Mortgage Coach, and been on Mortgage Coach for well north of almost 2 decades now. And this is the biggest thing, the impact to my business. But then I remember coming to you, and if you remember this, go back in memory lane here, it was 2019. And I remember we're at Sales Master together, and I came to you and I said, hey man, we're already doing $100 million in production a year, but my database is only 3% of my business. And you took me underneath your wing and you helped me with taking my database, Mortgage Coach. And that's where the whole annual mortgage review process kind of ballooned from. Remember that?
I do. I still remember that conversation, and you've always impressed me with how reflective you are and how, you're always working on yourself. You're always getting better. But I remember that.
Yeah, I just think it's super special when everything kind of falls into place. I mean, you're willing to teach me. I was willing to do hard work and learn. And I think when I wrote 24/7 Mindset, and then you agreed to do the forward of it, what I loved about it is there was no hesitation. And there was no, hey, well, let me think about it. Let me get my publishers. There was no hesitation. So that's kind of a theme of what I've seen with you. You get an idea and then you're off to the races, or is there a lot of internal questions you have?
Well, I've always been obsessed with impact, and that's one of the things that served me really well in my career, that I've always wanted to, impact people beyond the transaction. And you got on my radar as someone that's you're an impact player. And part of my business strategy is finding these people that are change agents in the industry and then leaning into them default aggressive. And so when part of me having no hesitation was who you are, hey, this is the guy who people follow, who has a lot of influence. And when someone like you comes to me and says, hey, I got an idea, it happens quick because it's default aggressive. And that's been a business strategy to create change in the mortgage industry. was, find people like you and then just lean in. No hesitation. Let's go.
Well, I want you to take us back memory lane, and I think everybody's incredibly impressed with the world that you've built and the servanthood that you have in your education platform and Mortgage Coach and the community and trust engine. But where did Mortgage Coach come from? So rewind back to when you had the idea and walk us through that a little bit.
Yeah, well, it happened. I would say Mortgage Coach was born probably 5 or 6 years before it actually became the software that I sold commercially, because I came up with the value proposition that my advice makes a difference. So yeah. I started telling that to CPAs and financial planners and consumers, and my advice makes a difference. And the creation of Mortgage Coach came from wanting to be able to say that. One, I didn't want it to be bullshit, it needed to be true. And then two, I wanted it to be visually something that I could say and people would be like, oh wow, this dude knows his stuff. And so that was the birth of Mortgage Coach, was coming up with that value proposition, solving for that value proposition. And when I would meet with a customer, asking a couple questions that got them to go this is different.
Yeah.
No other loan officers ask me, how do I want to be when I'm debt free and my mortgage is paid off? And you know what? That's a good question. I want to know what I want to be. And then no loan officer, when pre-approving me or quoting me a rate, ever showed me options, how to pay off your house faster. If you did this, then you'd pay off your house then. If you did this, so it was all solving for that. But and then there's the mechanic solving. I was an advisor to Calyx Point, which was the big LOS back in the day, and I tried to get them to create Mortgage Coach for probably a year or two. I was trying to get them to build that technology into their LOS, and it became clear to me that they were not going to do it, or at least they weren't going to do it at my time and speed. And so I needed to figure out how to build it myself. And that was give birth to Mortgage Coach.
But I think what's beautiful about that is you had the idea and you built it for you first. And where I think so many people unfortunately come up with this great idea, then they start trying to build it to the masses. You worked out all your bugs, you worked out all your systems, everything with building it to you first, and then took it to the masses from there.
Yeah, well, this was before SaaS technology was a thing, and I really built it to help me be more successful, help me recruit loan officers. Originally, the thesis was not that I was going to become a technology entrepreneur. It was that I'd use this so that I could literally hire brand new loan officers that just had good people skills and cared about people. I've always just believed that the best salespeople, they care about helping people more than not great salespeople. And if I can just find people that had good skills and really cared about helping people, hey, ask these 8 questions, click here, click there. You know what? You can beat 90% of loan officers in America with this technology that I built, and just come here and it'll all be good. And then obviously it became something bigger than just powering my value proposition.
Well, I remember dabbling with it and using it early 2008, 2009, 2010, but by 2012 it became a standard. 2013 it became a team standard. And I remember doing an interview with you, and the subject line of the video is Mortgage Coach is a standard, not a suggestion.
I remember that.
And that really resonated with my team and I, that was our differentiator here in the marketplace in Dallas. And really, if you go the volume goes from 36 million to 45 million to 80 million to over 100 million. And then it gets to the point where the market sees you as a differentiator because of the tool of Mortgage Coach. And it was phenomenal now, with technologies and everything you built, with being able to get that over the listing agent and everything from open houses. It's definitely been a cornerstone of the modern mortgage industry.
Yeah, no doubt. And you said a word, standards. I've interviewed hundreds. I've got over 2,000 videos on our YouTube channel. So I've interviewed a lot of people a lot of times, and the difference between good and great are standards. And the best of the best, they adopt standards that they execute consistently. And like I said, when I find people that go beyond the transaction with Mortgage Coach, they have standards, like you, like, let's shine a light on them. Let's make sure that as many loan officers and leaders in the mortgage industry hear it firsthand for themselves, and good things happen.
Well, what you said is extremely humbling. You said you've had over 2,000 video recordings of videos, interviews, and this is officially 24/7 Mindset's 50th one. So when you said
I got
2,000,
a head start on you, Wally.
just a little bit. Holy moly!
Yeah, 20. By the way, I'm looking at it. Over 2,700 videos.
2,700. Wow.
Yeah, over 25,000 subscribers and over 27,000 videos.
I think, I mean, selfishly, here's a question for myself. When you, like, now, it's a huge treat and it's a huge honor to be on the Mortgage Coach show and to be interviewed by you. When you were starting out and you're building it out, how did you have an interview every single week and build up that pipeline?
Well, I've always believed, like, leadership has changed the world, or excuse me, technology has changed the world today, but leadership is the most, valuable force in business. And so coming out of the meltdown, and part of my success as an operator in the mortgage business was I'm a leader to my customers and I'm a leader to the loan officers that come. And so weekly sales meetings were, just always been a theme that I've believed in. And when the meltdown was taking place, there was first of all, I still think the majority of sales managers and call it branch managers, regional leaders, don't do effective weekly sales meetings. Like, I think that is a gap. And doing those, effective, consistent weekly meetings has just always been something that I believe in, something that I execute. And so when I started the Mortgage Coach YouTube channel, it wasn't like, oh, I want to be this B2B YouTuber, I want to use it to grow my business. It was not enough sales meetings happening in the mortgage industry, and I'm going to put on the best sales meeting every Tuesday at 9:00 in sales in the mortgage industry. And it wasn't because YouTube was a thing, it was because it was free. And I could, at the time, use GoToMeeting, using my network, because I always built my career masterminding. Yeah. So I had relationships with countless, hundreds of the most successful loan officers in America. They were peers. I was one of the top 50. So it'd be like you, like, hey, I'm doing a sales meeting this week. I want you to be my special guest. And it was just one at a time, and it wasn't about YouTube. It wasn't about the distribution. It was someone that I had a relationship with, someone that respected me, someone that I respected. And we're going to put on a sales meeting this Tuesday, 9:00. And so that was the strategy. That's what I was doing. And then hundreds of those later, it had caught on. It had built a following, and then here we are today.
Well, I think what's really special about it is we would, so from like 2014 to like 2022 as a team, we'd have a sales meeting every single week. It was like Wednesday at 2:30, and we specifically picked Wednesday because each loan officer that come to the sales meeting, to be able to get accepted to come to the sales meeting, they had to watch the Mortgage Coach show on Tuesday and bring their notes and ahas. What did they hear? Like the Denise Donahue's of the world say, the Jeremy Forcier's of the world say, like, what did they learn from the Mortgage Coach show that we wanted to implement as a team, and we put our minds together around that. I thought it was a huge turbo boost for our business, because you gave us the platform of learning how this person in Nebraska is doing business, Florida, California, like all over the U.S., and it was absolute a game changer.
Yeah, no, and I built it to be that beacon. And thank you for being one of those leaders that push your loan officers to watch it. And still, I keep going because the change and the impact we're making is just gaining momentum. And so anyone listening to this, whether you're a loan officer or a leader of them, like it's designed to be a resource to teach, train, and to be a resource for managers to use.
Yeah, I'll tell it myself. You'd have me on your show a ton, and one of my least favorite, most embarrassing shows I did with you was with Darren Hardy, and
Really?
yeah, it was, I think, and then he was in his. I asked him, I said, "What's that background? That's a cool background. Are you at a spa or something?" He goes, "No, I'm in my backyard. You clearly don't watch Darren daily," and I go, "Ooh." Touche, and you stole an awesome backyard, Mr. Hardy. But he was a
I don't remember that, but yeah. By the way, there's a Wally Illiberry playlist now, and I just looked at it. We have 22 interviews of videos with you in the playlist. I'm pretty sure I've interviewed you more than that.
Yeah,
but yeah, like there's actually a playlist of you and I.
I think I was super impressed with the number of videos that we've done together until I asked you who number one was, and Jeremy Fossier was like twice, if not three times as much as me. Which I think, I think it was at the Modern Mortgage Summit. I got a chance to actually shake his hand for the first time. One of my favorite human beings in the world to follow. Absolutely, just a great leader, and definitely hope Jeremy and my friendship keeps growing.
Yeah. No, he was the first one to get a playlist, and I have been interviewing Jeremy for more years than you and I, got a chance to connect and do it. So,
well, what do you think makes him so special? I mean, the personality's phenomenal. He's an implementer. What were like the top 3 success traits you think Jeremy has?
Wow. Well, first of all, I mean, he's got courage. I mean, he attacks the obstacle. If anybody's ever heard me interview him and some of his scripts and how he shows up with realtors, the obstacle is the way, and that is Jeremy's default. So his courage and his default to that. His mantra that he always talks about is good people deserve great advice. So he's got a value that is advice driven. And because he has that mantra, because he executes on that mantra, I guarantee you, like, his advice makes a difference. I mean, he's used Mortgage Coach thousands of times. I think it's over 7,000 times. So he's, one of the 20, one of the top 20 all-time creators of Mortgage Coach's experiences. So that default aggressiveness that he has, that my advice makes a different mantra that he has. And then like all the greats, they have these things, and then they consistently execute these things year after year after year after year of consistent execution of those things. So those are 3. There's more. I could list a few more that come to mind. I mean, his humility is pretty uncommon. It just despite his success, his humility is pretty uncommon.
That's awesome. Yeah, like I said, I definitely hope our friendship keeps growing. When you look back of all the interviews you've done, do you have like 1 or 2 that are favorites?
Well,
anybody and anybody.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's no interview that I worked harder to get than Simon Sinek. Because he doesn't. I mean, I think he charged like $250,000 to speak. It doesn't even take all of his speaking opportunities. I know people that have wanted to pay him and that he's passed on. So there's, like by far the hardest interview, and it is one of my favorite because the TED Talk around the power of your why. I can't remember the actual name of the TED Talk. That was a transformational 18-minute video for me that created all kinds of transformational value. So I was really someone I wanted to interview. I worked really, really hard to get that interview. Yeah. And I think it's a great interview. So that's up there. Jocko Willink is, when I interviewed him, that was amazing. it was amazing because it was a 1 hour interview, and the first Jocko, it was 1 hour, but Jocko could only do 30 minutes. And
Okay.
so Andrew Paul and I, someone that served with Jocko in the teams, it was part of Task Force Bruiser. Him and I did the first half hour, and then literally as Jocko left, Andrew had a fire alarm in the building he was in, and he had to evacuate. And so, I mean, first of all, the content was amazing. Jocko was amazing. We went through a little bit of stress and pulled off an incredible piece of content that I'm not going to start naming loan officers because you were one of my favorites.
I hope so. No, I've never felt. I'm a decent sized guy, and I've never felt so small shaking his hand, Jocko.
Oh, yeah,
I mean, it's like this huge, and I felt like you could literally crush me and like with your pinky.
Yeah, no, his physicality is uncommon. I met Jocko before he had the book and became who he was, and he was the chief accountability officer for Prospect Mortgage, where I met. And I remember sitting next to him, and he had just gotten out of the teams a couple of weeks before that, and I sat next to him. I'm just like, in my head, I'm like, who is this guy?
Yeah.
Because just like, what?
Yeah. Can you imagine being a loan officer and he be your accountability officer?
Accountability officer.
Yeah, I'm doing my prospecting calls for sure.
Yeah, for sure. There's no letting Jocko down.
So when we talked about your success as Mortgage Coach, success with the YouTube channel, when or how did the whole trust engine vision come about, and how did you build that?
Yeah, so in 2021, I sold the majority interest of Mortgage Coach to a private equity company. I had a number of both private equity companies and strategic buyers that wanted to invest Mortgage Coach, but I picked LLR out of a number of folks because I rumor had it they were also buying Sales Boomerang, which was data, and that was, I mean, their thesis was, hey, we could really do something game-changing in mortgage because we have this educational borrower experience.
Yep.
So like a Mortgage Coach, it's helping people make better decisions, build wealth with real estate faster. And then we have this leading data player so that we can be more predictive and figure out, which customers are most likely to buy, sell, refinance home. And so that was the birth, that transaction happening in 2021. And then we came together as companies, we decided to merge them. And then we were looking for a name that would be transformative in the mortgage industry and trust at scale. We were building this engine to predict who needs us, to give them trusted advice. We're turning loan officers into trusted advisors. It's an engine, and so the word trusted engine came together, and we decided to call the company Trust Engine. And that was, I think, Valentine's Day. Was it 2022? We announced it to the world. Or did it take us a year? I think it took us a year. I think it was 20. Anyway, it was on Valentine's Day. We launched and gave birth to the name Trust Engine.
I remember I was in California. I was in Newport Beach at a seminar, and I remember that's when it launched and it hit social media. So I think it was around February.
It was Valentine's Day. I remember that vividly because we had a whole marketing campaign around it, and so I know in my mind I'm confused whether we waited a year or we did it right away. But
so fast forward Trust Engine, say 10 years from now, where do you see it? Where do you see it leaving its fingerprint on the industry?
Well, I mean, I'm working really hard for it to be transformative for not just the mortgage industry, but for consumers in America, and whether someone's renting and they should be owning, and they could be owning, for it to be able to be predictive, and then give them the education they need through digital tech on experience, a data-driven, needs-based digital experience. Hopefully it'll be transformative for consumers. There's never been more equity. There's never been more debt. So for us to be able to, hey, consumer, you have this much debt, this much equity. Here's different ways in which you could optimize that to build wealth with real estate. So first and foremost, I hope that it will have transformed helping people optimize, get into home ownership and build wealth more effectively. And then hopefully in the mortgage industry, there'll be the haves and the have-nots, and the lenders that are winning at scale will have trust engine.
Yeah, I think I agree with you for sure. It's definitely been a cornerstone of our business and something that we teach here through both 24/7 mindset and also for Aspire mortgage advisors. And it's something that I highly recommend all our coaching clients to pick up, from mortgage coach to sales boomerang and the technology stack. But you came out with First Home IQ. That was like 2000, late 22, early 23. Is that right?
Yeah, 23. It's 2024 right now as we're having this conversation, and this is our first full year of operating that nonprofit. Kristen Messerly is the executive director, and she runs the nonprofit. We came up with the idea, mid 23, and launched it in October of 23. But I've had a pretty unique seat on the bus in the mortgage industry, and first of all, seeing, I've got the data, what home ownership means in America, and to me, one of the biggest problems in America is that people are just getting older and older and older to achieve home ownership. I got into home ownership in my 20s. For multiple decades, the average has been like 29 to 32. Last year it was 35. This year it's 38. And 38 is currently the average age of first-time home buyers. And it's going to wipe out the middle class. It's a big problem in America that people are not getting into home ownership younger. Credit card debt has never been higher. Student loan debt's never been higher. I personally think governments should, by age 18, every American is going to be targeted by credit card companies, is going to be eligible to sign up for a student loan, and they should be educated on what credit, how that's going to impact their lives. And by age 21, old enough to drink and drive, you should be old enough to know how homeownership works in America. And I've given up hope that governments will address this opportunity and this problem. I've given up hope that schools will help solve this problem, and I believe that the mortgage industry, can solve the problem. Like, we run enough credit reports every year. We have access to helping people, and so I've decided to. Kristen and I and Todd Bookspan founded it, but now it's really the mortgage industry's nonprofit to get families, helping families get into homeownership in their 20s. Like, let's bring back, homeownership in your 20s. And it's never been harder. Like, it's hard. There is an affordability crisis. It's not an easy problem to overcome, but without the education and without the kind of proactive education, it's just going to get worse and worse and worse. And it's a crisis, in my opinion.
So if you're a loan officer out there and if they're hearing you, where do you feel like a loan officer can make a difference? Not like on the ground level, not necessarily just on the high level where you're at.
Yeah, well, so first of all, I believe, like, part of my code, one of the values I live by is purpose and profits. Said another way is impact and income. And the more impact you create, the more income you make. So I do believe, like, if you're a realtor or a mortgage professional, the more impact you make at helping families understand the problem and the opportunity of helping their kids get into homeownership, You can sell more homes and do more loans by jumping in this. So, to any mortgage professional, like if you don't have a first time home buyer strategy, like what are you doing? Like you've got to have a strategy to win at scale with first time home buyers going forward. And there's no better strategy than First Home IQ. I mean, they've built all kinds of content, a training platform, literally a lead magnet. Like, so that, like, if you're a First Home IQ ambassador, you literally have a first time home buyer quiz that is designed for 18-year-olds and 21-year-olds that you can build data with. So I just think it's a I push any loan officer and realtor to lean in, check it out, firsthomeIQ.com, become an ambassador.
I just took a note on my phone. I absolutely love that. The more impact that you make, the more income that you make. And
I believe it's like gravity. Like it's a truth.
Yeah, absolutely. You're right. A little puppy there.
Yes, my dog. You can hear Charlie.
You're good.
Puppy. Come here, Grandma.
How old?
I forget, but over 12, 13.
Yeah.
She's awesome dog.
We've got a 15-year-old at home, and his name is Jack. So we've got to hug him on a daily basis to help him off the couch. And
no, Charlie. Like my wife is. Yeah. Anyways, she's getting old.
Yeah. Well, I'd also say, like, I think what I've loved so much about you've taken the abundance mindset from the YouTube channel, and now you brought it into the First Home IQ channel and sharing that wisdom. And then one thing that you do, just some of the best I've ever seen, is you rally the troops around you of these top producing LOs nationwide, and everybody pitches in for the greater cause of home ownership.
Yeah, no, it's definitely feeding my soul. I never been more passionate about Trust Engine and the change we're making from the inside out.
Yeah,
and then I've never been more just passionate about changing from the outside in. And for anyone who is an ambassador or who's donated money to build this platform, it's free. Like there is a free financial literacy platform, homeownership readiness education platform that anyone can use, any parent can use, any teacher can use, any local organization like Boys and Girls Clubs are using it throughout the country. Big Brothers, Big Sisters are using it. YMCA are using it. Like it's pretty awesome.
That's awesome, man. Kudos to you. I think you're a great example for the rest of us trying to make a difference, that it is really possible. So what's the next chapter kind of look like for Dave Savage? What are you working on these days?
I mean, I turned 60 this year. And so, I mean, you've heard it. I mean, I'm just super focused on those two missions. I did become a guide, one of the first guides of Modern Mortgage IQ, which is a new community that I think you're familiar with, Modern Mortgage IQ, that I've helped host with Todd Bookspan for 5 years. And we've also had the Modern Real Estate Summit, where, by the way, we're getting ready to start marketing the next Modern Mortgage and Modern Real Estate Summit. So keep an eye out for that. If you watch this, you can go to modernmortgageiq.com. But to me, it's never been more clear that if you are not a modern mortgage advisor, like your future is not going to be better. But if you are modern in how you approach your business, your future, like I believe, can be brighter than ever. I mean, let's face it. When I started the business, used to have to do a handwritten loan application, and now you give a link to a consumer, and the consumer's your assistant. They fill out the app. And now we have AI. So like we literally have more tools to make the job of being a mortgage advisor easier. We have tools that we can do more loans than ever. But if you're not modern and you don't know how to leverage, and that's the thing, we made like this think of the life wheel where it's
Yeah.
got all the areas of your business. There's this modern mortgage reel, that's leadership, technology, marketing, and so I'm pretty excited about that community and being a guide in that community. Would love to have you. I think you've already been invited to be a guide. I hope you're active as a guide.
I have been, and I will be.
Yeah.
I think something that you've taught me, and I don't know if you regret teaching it to me or not, was saying no doesn't mean just not now. So
Yeah. Right. Well,
and I
respected that of you because you have said no to me many a times that I wanted to interview you. And I mean, I think you've had an entire year or two where you're like, not this year, Dave. I've got some big things to hit, and it's been incredible to watch you grow, Wally.
Thank you. I think I've been very blessed to have a great team around me and a great support staff. And I think what you're referencing is like 2020, 2021, 2022. And, we're super blessed to do so much production and to get over $200 million in loans in a year. And then, it was, you've got to say no to a lot of things so you can say yes to the right things. And then you realize the people that would get upset if I'd say no to them, they were there just to try to take advantage of me. People that were supportive, when I said like no to you, they were there to truly add value to me. And that's where I think it's been definitely a blessing learning to say no. One of these days I'll learn to say no without having to explain myself why it's a no, but I'm not there yet.
I don't know. And so I think it's always good to the why matters, and it is a show of respect to explain it. So I don't think you need to worry about that, Wally. I would encourage you that, it's good relationship building when there's a no, especially when it's a no that it's not the answer they want. Like, letting them know why is, I think, valuable. Maybe it's just a sentence or two, though. Maybe you can cut it down.
Yeah, you're definitely right. Awesome. Well, all right. So we're about to wrap up, but I want, like, if you're a loan officer out there, like, what do you feel like? And I want to give you the closing thoughts, but what are some words of wisdom you can share to loan officers right now that are, interest rates are high sixes, low sevens, and we all hoped for a refi boom by now. It's still not come, and then the loan officers are just that are really locked in that we're going to make this a career instead of a quick payday.
Well, first of all, I just do not believe that the market matters that much. By the way, the market matters. Like when you go from a $4 trillion year to a $1.5 trillion year, market matters, but it doesn't matter most. What? And I still remember when I interviewed Shop Bedosian, who's the #1 loan officer in America, and I can't remember I got to get the quote because I quoted it enough. But I mean, #1 loan officer, and he's like, I don't track the rates in the market. I focus on the activity economy. So it's all about your activity, and no. You're going to be able to do more business when it's a $4 trillion market, which it probably never will be again. Probably between 2.5 and 1.5 is the size of the mortgage industry going forward. Who knows? I do know a lot of smart people that I trust that thinks it could go bigger than that. And by the way, at Trust Engine, we want to try to make it bigger than that because more people should be optimizing their debt and equity. But here's my advice to you in a closing thought is this never been more clear how to be successful. Like when I was growing up in this business, like the code to win, it wasn't like there wasn't a book, like 24/7 mindset. Like I would have killed, well, I wouldn't have killed, but I would have given a lot to have a book like the book you created. There was not like modern mortgage IQ, and by the way, there's a whole industry now of coaches in the mortgage industry that are like, they're great coaches. Like there's a lot of coaches that I would hire to have a coach. There's a lot more great coaches than bad coaches. And so the it's going to be amazing. But by the way, if you buy the book and you don't read the book, it's worthless. You got to actually read the 24/7 mindset. If you watch one of my YouTube interviews and literally you're multitasking the whole time and you didn't take any notes and you don't, like, after you go through an experience like that on YouTube or the First Home IQ community, if you don't, like, okay, what was the 3 most important takeaways? What's the one thing I'm going to implement? Like, that is just edutainment. So it's like, kind of my closing thought is like, guys, there's never been a better opportunity to be in mortgage. And I think it's total bullshit that, it's the market. It's not the market. I interview enough high-performing, highly successful people making a whole lot of money, and they have great strategies and they have great activities. And then if you don't, it's because you didn't have the right strategy, you didn't do the right activities in the past. It's not the market.
Yeah. I think definitely great words of wisdom, and understand, just because the industry is not at 4 trillion or whatever. Also, the number of loan officers that we've got left, the market share is exactly the same. There's a lot more production that we can do now because we've got less competition. But we need tools like Mortgage Coach or Modern Mortgage to be able to separate ourselves from the competition. So if you're not on Mortgage Coach, I highly encourage you to. If you're not part of the Trust Engine community, I highly encourage you to. Dave's Mortgage Coach YouTube channel, as if he could track who goes on there the most to learn, I'm probably up there. But so is my team, and the ability that we all have that page at our fingertips, and the search engine portion of it. Any topic that you want, I highly recommend it.
Well, Wally, I am grateful for you. You've given a lot to everything I do, and I look forward to just continuing to create together. And congratulations on your success. I love that you're continuing to roll with this podcast. I love that you're still leaning into the 24/7 mindset. Keep it rocking, bro. You're making great impact. I hope to have you. And you are a First Home IQ ambassador, but hopefully have you even more active in 25. I do believe that the mortgage industry can be transformative in America when it comes to financial literacy. And we have a financial literacy crisis in America. Let's all join together and do our part. And I think it'll be impact and it'll be income. So let's go.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate your time, Dave, and we'll see you again soon.
Take care, everybody.
All right. Take care. Bye-bye. So thank you so much for listening today. It means a lot you took time out of your day. I don't take that lightly. Understand very clearly that you're very busy. With that being said, if you want to continue your journey and learn more about 24/7 Mindset, if you're on Facebook, which I'm going to guess you are, then go to 24/7 Mindset on Facebook and join the private community. I do coaching tips on there on a daily basis, but from scripts on there to systems on there, models, and the ability to be able to grow and scale a business while you have a quality of life. Hope to see you there.